Wonderful.
Hello.
So, welcome to John Dowling from Grunt Pork from Southwest New South Wales. So I'll leave it over to you, John. Thank you.
Okay, well, our property is reasonably small. It's about 20 hectares. Oh no, sorry, 30 hectares. We grow pigs mainly. We do have a little bit of crop, which we were trying to harvest today, but didn't happen. So we are an indoor-outdoor piggery, which so all of our pigs spend some time outside, whether that be pregnant sows or growers, and then they come back in to finish. We are a farrow to finish herd, so that means that we grow out, the sows get pregnant, they have their piglets, and then we grow the piglets out to what we call finishers, which are pigs that go to market. So yeah, we grow them right the way through. We run a Duroc large white landrace cross sow, and the main reason for the cross is for hybrid vigour, to provide better growth rates and better mothering abilities and general things like that, so that we get a faster growing, better carcass pig with maximum amount of numbers for productivity wise. My role, we don't live on the farm, but we live close by. We're about 5 kilometres away from our farm, and we phone. So yeah, we don't live on the farm, but we're there every day, twice a day, morning and night, checking the pigs and making sure everyone's happy and healthy and got feed and water and everything's good. So a typical day for me would start out at about 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. We go and feed the pigs and then start making sure that they've got enough feed. So that could be milling feed, it could be moving pigs around into different pens, as everyone has to move once a fortnight. We move everyone. So that'll be, we start with the finishers will come into the shed, and then the next lot of growers go out into the paddock, and then the next lot of weaners come out of the weaning room and into the growing shed, and then the sows are weaned from the piglets, and then the piglets come into the nursery, which is the weaning room, and then everything, and in between each procedure, each one of the pens and sheds is washed and cleaned and made sure that the health status of the piggery remains up to speed or up to date, so that we don't get build-ups of E. coli and different sort of bacterial bugs that could cause stomach trouble or infections and things like that in the pigs. Obviously, we don't clean the paddocks outside because they're on dirt. So the sunlight is our best friend as far as bacteria and things like that go, and it actually changes the conformation of the pig when they go out. So they've just been in the sheds in their pens, and then they go outside and they get to run around and do everything, and it builds muscle, and yeah, they seem to really enjoy themselves. They're pretty good at really giving me a big headache as far as fences and digging under them, and just general management in the paddock is a lot harder than in the shed, because pigs love to dig and they love to break things. That is their number one aim in life, I'm sure. So yeah, the typical day of the piggery is feed, moving, making sure everyone's all right, fixing things that may need fixing, and believe it or not, it fills up a day very quickly. So now we also have a little bit of a different business as well, in the fact that we are paddock to plate. So we've just built a butcher shop, and we take our market size pigs and they go to an abattoir, and come back to us as bodies. And then we process our bodies and turn them into bacon and ham and sausages and pork chops and roasts and basically nearly anything that comes out of a pig, bar salami and prosciutto, because they are uncooked fermented meats, so therefore they actually need to require a different license. Yeah, so that now the other thing that we try and do with our pigs is we try and run minimal use antibiotics, so that we're not just generalising our antibiotics for our herd health programs, which are pretty important. We've got vaccines that we use for different things rather than having to, as a pre-treatment, rather than rather than being reactive, we'd like to be proactive, I guess would be the best way to describe that. Yeah, and I think the pigs are a lot of hard work. They're everyday animals that someone has to be in and out of the sheds twice a day to make sure that nothing's gone wrong, particularly in summer with heat, because a pig can't sweat, as you probably know. So therefore they're very reliant on overhead sprays and cooling systems that we use in the sheds, and also in the paddocks we fill, well, they dig the holes pretty successfully, and then we fill them with water, and that allows them to keep cool during the summer months in the wallows, so they cover themselves in mud, and that acts as not only sunscreen but also a cooling mechanism for them. So yeah, they tend to really enjoy that. Again, giving me a hard time. So yeah, and I guess sort of, yeah, it'd be good now if anyone had any questions. It's a little bit hard to know exactly what everyone wants to hear. That just gives you a brief rundown on how we run our property and what we do, I guess, without going too much into it, without being really, really specific.
All good. Just, thanks, John. Does anyone have any specific questions for John? I have some questions.
Yep.
So, in terms of, I'm very interested in your shop front and how you came about deciding what sort of products you might produce, and who you're targeting, because I can see your website's got all the products are for sale, and people can purchase them. But how did you decide which products you were planning to sell through your shop?
Well, I guess it comes out of a bit of a passionate thing for producing bacon and small goods, because we actually thought that we would try and we could see a market there for bacon that is Australian grown and still at a price point that people can afford to eat and buy every day, rather than buying overseas pork in their bacon. And the guys who are selling bacon are actually very sneaky about how they market their products to us, because you pick up the package and it says made in Australia, and you actually have to go and look for that little kangaroo with the bar on it, because you'll pick up the package and it'll have made in Australia written on in big letters on the front of it, and then you'll turn it over and then it'll say made from 20% Australian ingredients. So the pork is actually not Australian at all. It's imported pork. And yeah, we just thought that we could provide bacon at a price point where people could afford to buy it every day and be very good quality and Australian pork and our own produce. Because that's, with everyone in the pork industry, that is a really big gripe, that that everyone brings it in and can provide it so much cheaper than what we can even produce it for.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of what pushed me down that path. And also, it's also a risk. The butcher shop is also a risk management tool for pricing with the pigs. The pig prices can be very volatile commercially, so that one year you might, or 1 year you can be receiving $4 a kilo for a finished pig, and then the next, in a matter of 3 months, it can drop to $2.30, which was below the cost of production. So we decided to, rather than building more pigs, so going from 100 sows to 150 sows, we decided as a risk management tool to use the butcher shop and value add the product that we were already producing.
Excellent. We've got some questions for you, John.
Yep.
I don't know if you can see them there in the chat area. If you click on the chat there, what weight do you wean, and what weight do they go for sale?
Okay, so they're weaned at roughly 8 to 10 kilos. So a pig is born at about a kilo. They land on the ground, and then they're within 3 weeks or 4 weeks, so 21 to 25 days, they reach the weight of 8 kilos. And then they are sold. So from the time they are born to the time they are sold at roughly 105 kilos live weight takes approximately 20 weeks. So that's 5 months to increase their weight 100 times. So they're very, and their feed conversion rates are running at around about 2.7 kilos to a kilo of growth. So they're very efficient animals. And yeah, so our sale weight, the pigs that we use in the butcher shop are roughly about 90 kilos. We use a little bit smaller pig, which is called a porker, in the butcher shop and for our bacon. So it's a slightly smaller rasher. And our commercial pigs, we grow out to about 105 kilos live weight, which returns at about a 70 to 75 kilo dead weight carcass. So, and they're what is commonly used as a bacon pig, but known as the bacon pig. So that's what weight they go for sale, and their ages of growth. So they're a very prolific breeder too. We have 100 sows and we turn off roughly around 2,000 pigs a year. So yeah.
We've got another question there. Have you considered developing your own abattoir and control the whole supply chain?
We have looked into the abattoir. The abattoir comes with a unique set of problems in the fact that to be able, you can build one and have it all licensed, but then also you need to have a meat inspector's license. So it requires another whole set of licenses, a whole another building, but then also you have to be accredited meat inspector, which is another job altogether. So for the amount of pigs that we're doing, as much as I would love to have an abattoir on farm, because we have commercial pigs, it's a lot easier to take them to the abattoir with the commercial pigs.
Thanks, John. Another question is the decision on when to sell the pig based solely on live weight?
95% of the time it is. Sometimes we'll get a pig that just for some reason might not get to that weight, or for some unforeseen reason, room in sheds, just room in general sometimes. You might get rid of some pigs because, yeah, there's could be a varying amount of reasons, but generally it's a room thing, or the pigs, it just might not be a faster grower, so you can't afford to hang on to a pig that is not growing as well as the others, because their feed rates and feed conversion rates, they might be at 4 kilos to 1 instead of 2.5 to 3 kilos to 1. So therefore it becomes unviable financially to be able to keep running that particular pig to that live weight.
Very good. Oh, the questions are coming thick and fast, which is really good. The next one there, some people are critical of pig handling practices and them being kept in closed systems. Do you think your explanation of husbandry issues with physiology and risk of burning or overheating could be better understood in the community?
Yes, I think all aspects of pig farming could be very, very much better understood by the whole community. We still farrow inside, and there are reasons why we farrow inside. That when we first started, we started farrowing outside because we thought that was the better thing to do. And after experiencing piglets dying in -5-degree frosts and then getting too hot, mums getting too hot in summer and couldn't milk properly to provide piglets with the correct amount of milk, and we took them back in. We actually took them inside and into a controlled environment where we can control temperatures. We stop the sow from overlaying piglets, which means squashing them. But they don't have to worry about foxes. They don't have to worry about crows. They don't have to worry about other predatory animals like eagles. Their feed is just there. Their water is just there. They don't have competition from other sows trying to take their feed or their water. I just think there are so many benefits to that particular system. The husbandry of keeping the pigs inside is, I think it has its pitfalls and it has its benefits, and that's why we do it both ways. So the pigs actually get to experience some of the outdoors and that they also are inside. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons and a lot of things that, you know, are beneficial and not. We keep our sows inside when they're first pregnant because then they hold their pregnancies better, and the list can roll on and on and on. I could be here for 3 hours talking about that. So yeah, and that's why we do what we do, is because we feel it is the best way for the animal husbandry side and the pigs benefit the way we grow our pigs. And we're pretty unique about how we do it because no one that I know of actually puts their pigs outside at a weight and an age, which is approximately 12 weeks, for a month, and then brings them back inside to finish off, which is, yeah, it's a different way of doing it. I haven't actually heard of anyone else doing it that way.
Fantastic. Another question, apart from baconer and porker, are there other classes of pigs? I want to know the answer to this question.
Well, yeah, there's the suckling pig, which I'm sure everyone's experienced, a pig on a spit. So you have your suckling pig and then your spit pig, which are anywhere from sort of 8 kilos dressed weight, which is about a 15 kilo pig, so they're only little, up to about sort of 25 kilos of weight, which is a spit pig. And obviously they're cooked in various different means. I quite like them turning over a nice bit of charcoal. So there's a couple of different classes. Porker sort of runs from about that 55 kilo dress weight up to about 50 kilo dress weight to about 60 kilo dress weight. And then you move into your baconers after there. And there's some guys like their bacon pigs at 65 to 75. And then you've got some guys who like them right up to that 85 kilo mark, which is quite a big pig. So yeah, that's about where the different classes of pigs are.
Excellent. Some more questions for you. What top 3 things would you like general community to understand about pork production or the industry?
I'd like the community to understand exactly how much pork is actually imported into Australia, which is I think it's somewhere around 50 million a month. I don't quote me on those figures, but it's a lot of pork. It runs into hundreds of thousands of tonnes a year. I'd also like them to understand that pig farmers, particularly the smaller farmers like myself, when we love our animals, we don't do it because we're being cruel to the animals and we see it as just a means of making money. We actually love the animals, and that's why we do it. You definitely wouldn't get out of bed every morning and go and feed pigs 365 days a year if you didn't love the animal. And yeah, I think they're probably the two major ones. And the third one would be just how efficient and how little land use you actually need to be able to run these animals. Not that I have any problems with beef or lamb; they're quite good as well. But as a meat and an impact on the environment, they're actually a lot less than many other species because of the way they can grow and the way they can be run.
Very good point there. A comment here from Graham. It's good to see the metrics you monitor to run your business and the diversity you have developed that has given your business increased surety and its sustainability. Congratulations.
Thank you for that.
And Alicia, thanks you for the top three. Yep. Thanks, Alicia. Any other questions for John?
No, all good.
So, John, are there many pork producers around your area?
There's probably two. There's three. Just intermediate area. There's about two, and then I know of another three that they're a bit over 100 k's away.
And so where would most of the pork production be found in New South Wales?
Generally in the Central West.
Is it something to do with access to market or abattoirs and things like that?
It is becoming more and more that way because there's very few abattoirs in New South Wales. There's three that I know of that will actually do pigs, and one of them is in the Central West, and there's one in the Richmond Basin, and then one up the north coast of New South Wales. So we're about 3 hours from our closest one. So that's a weekly truck drive to the local labs, or 3 hours away, which is a bit painful, but yeah, we are where we are. So that's what we do. And then the next closest abattoirs for us is about the same distance, but it's in Victoria.
Why is that so? What's caused the number of abattoirs to decline?
I think it's the number of the number of pigs in New South Wales. New South Wales isn't a large pork producer. The main areas of pigs are in South Australia and Victoria. There's a few big ones in Queensland. But yeah, I think that is the main reason, is that New South Wales just does not have a large pig herd compared to the other states.
Okay. I've got another question for you. So if we, we have young people who are interested in getting into different sorts of ag industries, but what's the best way that a young person might engage themselves in employment in your industry?
When would they like to start?
That's right.
The pork industry, if you decide that you would, or if you'd like to have a go at the pork industry and you do like it, you'll never be without a job. There are jobs in the pork industry. I don't know of a piggery where you couldn't get a job. everyone is always looking for labour, particularly the bit bigger ones. We're currently looking for labour at the moment, and just so hard to get people to work in the pork industry. And that's probably one thing that I really missed with the three things I'd like the community to understand about pork is they do smell a bit, but yeah, it's a very rewarding and satisfying job, and the actual animal is really good to work with. Very satisfying. So yeah, it is not. If you would like to try being in the pork industry, I would highly recommend it.
So apart from yourself, who else works on your property?
I've got one other full-time employee at the piggery, and then we've got a full-time butcher, and we've also got a guy who helps 2 days a week. And girls, our butcher is a lady, and she's awesome. So don't be scared to have a crack either.
Exactly. So in terms of your shop front, how long ago did you start that up?
Well, we don't actually have a shop front. We've just got a butchery, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
Yep. We were using other butchers to process for us. We've been doing that for sort of 2 or 3 years, and we actually gave it away for about 6 to 8 months. We stopped doing it because it was becoming quite a job to run the piggery as well as do all the deliveries and organising of that. And by popular demand, people just wouldn't leave me alone and kept hounding me for pork, and that's what brought on about the butchery. Yeah, we ended up deciding to build our own. If we were going to do it, we wanted to do it properly.
Excellent. We've got a few questions here. How often do you eat pork?
Probably about 4 to 5 times a week, maybe more. That's just dinner, not including lunch. So quite a lot, yes.
Very good.
There's just so many ways to enjoy it.
There is indeed. You don't have to convince me. Where do you sell your product?
We actually have a website called Grunt Pork Smokehouse.
Let me share the website now. That's a perfect time for it. And let me just Grunt Pork Smokehouse.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the one there.
Oh, gone in that guide.
So here we are. Can everyone see that?
Oh, good. You can still hear me then?
Yeah, I can still hear. Yep. Can you see? Is it up on screen? Can you?
No, I can't. Sorry, I think my internet connection's fading a bit on me. Okay. I'll just try it again.
It should be on the screen itself now, in where the chat window is.
Yeah, I've actually lost the window.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just looking for it again.
I'm assuming that everyone else can see the window. If you can, maybe just indicate in the chat area. find the.
Why is it doing that? Sorry, I'm just trying to.
Yep, everyone can see that. That's all good.
Yep.
I'm just at the front page, so there's lots of information here about your story,
Yes.
and the question was about ordering and delivery, and I was going to ask you your online shop. So the question that I have, and I think Graham's also asked, so if I purchase things from your online shop, how do I get them?
At the moment, we're only delivering in the Riverina. We just because we haven't explored the sending them further distances yet, but that hopefully that will come in the future. We've spoken to a few transport companies, and it's just a time thing of being able to get them delivered to other areas. So at the moment, we deliver to your door ourselves if you're in the Riverina. But yeah, we haven't ventured to Sydney or metropolitan areas or areas outside of the Riverina yet.
Okay. That answers that question. I'll have to come for a drive.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so there's lots of information on here about grunt pork, so the website is gruntporksmokehouse.com.
Yes.
Okay. I'll just stop sharing there for now. Does anyone else have any other questions for John? So how long have you been involved with pork production, John? How many years?
Well, I actually grew up with pigs when my parents had their own farm when I was little. So they had that until I was about 14, where we had pigs. And then I went into cropping. From when I finished high school, I went to and did farm management degree, and then went down the path of broadacre farming and managing farms and working for people. And then about 5 years ago, we decided that we'd take a bit of a leap of faith and start our own business, and went into pork production, which has had its moments. It's been hard at times, and at other times it's been very good. So yeah, so that's how we ended up. So for the last 5 years, we've been producing pigs in our own business, which has been fantastic. Yeah, I love it.
So so in your experience, how's the industry changed in the last 20 years or so? What's different about pork production, not only on farm, but the whole supply chain, and not only production, but like has the tastes of consumers changed, and the way that you produce your product?
Look, as far as production is concerned, it's come a long way, just through technologies and being able to understand how the animals grow and what they require feed wise, and just the same of all. It's a bit like 20 years ago, the first mobile phone that came out was a brick that was clunky and slow, and now technology's grown and we're holding them in our hand and looking at videos and doing things like that. It's a bit the same for any industry really. Agricultural in general has come a long way in the last 20 years just through technology. Consumers have not really changed their tastes, I don't think, but what has happened is that they have become as Australia's grown more multicultural, and again, the information sharing age, the different recipes and the ways of using pork, and have grown a lot, and therefore the actual interest and demand for pork has grown a lot because of, you know, TV chefs and different cuisines using different pork different ways. It's really changed the face of how people look at their pork. There's no more just a pork chop that tastes dry and barbecued. It's now pork mince and belly and, you know, all those sort of things that 20 years ago people didn't really look at much, and we're using different cuts in different ways. And yeah, it's really exciting to be in that area of it with the butcher shop. I quite enjoy that side of it as well as the growing production side of it.
Indeed, yes. This has been a shift in the types and styles of products. Having grown up in an Italian family, I'm very used to all the different types of pork products and actually making them at home. So it's good to see that there's more easier access to those fantastic products.
Yep.
Any other questions from anybody?
Have I still got you?
Yep. Still got you. We can still see you and hear you. Yep, we can still see you.
Oh, very good. Yep.
Yep.
No, I just lost everything on the computer there for a minute.
Your internet just went on a slowdown. So those kids have got home at 3:30 and they're on the games already.
Yes. Actually, mine just walked in the door. So.
Ah, right. There you go. That explains it all. So.
Yeah, sure does. So.
Yeah.
Very good. Is there any other questions?
I think we may have exhausted our questions for the afternoon. All good. No other questions from our participants? Indeed. Well, thanks, John, for your time today and your presentation. It's great to get an insight into what happens in your industry and what goes on day by day in your world. It's very detailed and fascinating. So we really do appreciate your time and your sharing of your knowledge and understanding, and to come into your world, which is really fascinating. And I'd like to thank all the participants today. And we'll record the session and we'll share it so it gets out to a whole range of classrooms across Australia. So very thanks, everyone. Thanks, John, for participating today. Really appreciate it. And thanks, everyone.